spring break. It's like, oh, this person, oh, this person. Oh, no, it's not, because we don't republish it and we don't have it, we're getting signatures tonight. It'll be reloaded before the next publishing, before Monday. Or whether it's Friday or Monday. Granted, this is. Yep, and he signed it. We're just waiting for his signature.
Good evening. We'll call to order the agenda review meeting of Wednesday, March 18th, 2026 to order. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Dollison?
Here.
Commissioner Birdsong?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mercer?
Here.
And Mayor Yates?
Here. All right, so we've got the normal items. We've got 3 proclamations to do on Monday night. So with that, we'll go right on into the ordinance second reading. Do we have any changes on these?
No, and sir, there'll be one additional proclamation that will be added to the agenda for Monday.
Okay.
That is for Ellie Thorkel.
Okay.
Second readings, nope. So the first one is rezoning of a parcel for development of residential duplexes. No changes on that since the first reading. And the second one is an amendment to the city's budget to reflect encumbered POs from last year. No changes from the first reading on that one either.
Okay, commissioners, any questions on these 2 second reading items? Seeing none, we'll move on into the consent agenda.
All right. I'll run through these for you. So the first item is purchase of 70 sets of bunker gear for the fire department. So this purchase sets us on an improved path for fire protective equipment. Right now, we replace about 20 sets of gear each year. Making this purchase at this time sets us on a routine for 5-year replacement cycles. So that bunker gear lasts about 10 years. So if we make a purchase now for all of the firefighters, they'll all have fresh new bunker gear. And then 5 years from now, we'll buy an additional set. And that sets them up to have a primary set and a secondary set that are both within their life cycle. There's also a benefit to, when we purchase those, we get a bulk benefit by buying them more at the same time than we normally do. So this sets us up for 5-year replacement cycles, which it gives us primary and secondary sets of gear, which is really in line with the industry standard. So this is just an improvement in the way we make those purchases.
What's all included in the gear?
And the bunker gear, Mike Waters is here. Kind of run through what the specific pieces of that are.
Mayor, Commissioners, so this purchase will include the pants, coats, boots, hoods, and as well as gloves.
Helmets are separate, right, Mike?
Helmets are separate, yes.
It's the main gear you see them wearing. And this also gives us consistency. That's one of the challenges we have right now with the way we replace, is you end up with gear that is kind of from all different times and eras, and you don't have a lot of consistency across it. This will make sure everybody has consistent gear across the board. And so the cost for that is $342,160, and that is funded from the capital depletion that we have set aside for replacement of that equipment.
Okay.
All right.
That's good.
Next item is construction engineering inspection for the East Winter Haven Aquifer recharge at the Bradco site. So this is actually for the well project. In November, we issued an RFQ for CEI of East Winter Haven Aquifer recharge at Bradco. The Professional Services Committee met and endorsed Jones Edmonds and Associates Incorporated out of Winter Haven, who the commission then authorized the city to negotiate an agreement with. So the team has worked to put together this agreement with Jones Edmonds. They've outlined a scope, and they'll include Jones Edmonds serving as the city's direct representative, so they will oversee construction of the MAR well. They will also oversee construction management, inspection, operation testing, and final permitting. And so the cost of that is $513,190 and is accounted for in the fiscal year 26 budget.
Okay.
Next item is replacement of a generator at our 3rd Street water treatment plant. So the current generator is just near the end of its usable life. Reliability has become fairly unpredictable with it. So staff worked with a consultant to review the electrical system at the plant and then contemplate future needs within that operation. Researched the potential generators to replace the one that we have with, and worked with vendors that we have available to us to come up with a suitable replacement. So we'll work with Ring Power, We have a pre-establishing purchasing avenue with, and they're able to provide the best price, which is $194,735, and that includes a year of maintenance once we install it. That'll be pulled from a mix of capital depletion dollars and then money budgeted for improvement at that plant for this fiscal year. And it has about a 25 to 30 week lead time, so we anticipate arrival of that replacement generator late this summer.
Any questions?
Okay. Similar item here, this is Fairfax, which is over by the new fire station. That is our main water plant, so that plant has existed for about 70 years. We pump water from it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and there's 4 main pumps within that. One of the pumps has reached the end of its usable life. We had that verified by an outside pump specialist, and so we have replacement budgeted in this fiscal year. So that is $159,414. We will work with, verify the name of that one. Barney's Pump is who will be providing that. And that's another one that we anticipate getting in probably later this summer. It's about a 24-week lead time on that equipment. Questions? Keep moving. Okay. Wastewater treatment plant 2. So this is an emergency purchase that we had to make at wastewater plant 2. So at that wastewater treatment plant, there is a pond that is off to the east side of the plant itself. And that pond can hold water as water works its way through the treatment process. So there's a point in that process where water can kick out to that pond. That pond acts as a holding cell, and then it can be brought back into the plant. There's an old overflow structure in the middle of that pond that was sealed off at some point in the past. That overflow structure began to leak, so some of that partially treated water was able to leak into Lake Conine, and we've reported that to the FDEP and worked closely with them throughout this process. To fix that leak, we had to pump that pond all the way down, seal off that structure so that it can't leak anymore. And then, but to pump it down, you have to bring all that water back into the plant, which is more than it can handle. So once we got that sealed, then you have to take all that water back out of the plant. And we did that. That pushes the pond kind of to its upper limits, to the point where it was close to breaching the berms. So to avoid that happening, the city started trucking some of that the partially treated effluent off from plant 2 to plant 3, using our master lift station in the process. And so all of that kind of throws the plants out of whack a little bit from a biological perspective. So to help settle that at plant 3, we brought in a company called Synagro. They bring in a centrifuge that separates out some of the solids, that makes the treatment easier at plant 3. So the emergency purchase for that was $116,328, and that is for that centrifuge at plant 3. Happy to say everything is leveled out at this point at both plants. They're operating well. We're still running the centrifuge at 3, but just seeking ratification of that emergency purchase. Next one is our 3rd Street Northwest Complete Street Project. You guys have seen a number of items on this. This is right out here, running from Avenue D up towards South Lake Silver Drive. So FDOT awarded the city $1,690,315. The commission entered an agreement with DOT for that. Design has taken place. It's been completed and approved by the DOT. That's always getting that extra approval on the design is always a big step with DOT. We advertised that bid in January of this year. We received 7 sealed bids, which is a really good turnout. In February, and Tucker Paving Incorporated of Winter Haven, Florida, was the lowest responsible bidder. No protests were received, so if approved, work could begin as early as May 2026 and has a 275-day window. And it's worth noting that project we recognize is going to be disruptive, as is any construction while it's ongoing. There's a lot of internal coordination happening around how to ensure access to this facility, but also across the street where we pay water bills, into the Florida Citrus Building, into engineering, so that city business isn't interrupted, as well as taking into account special events at Normeo Hall, tennis. So there's a lot of internal coordination that'll happen about traffic management on that.
What was the total project cost?
Yep, total cost is $2,142,056. So the city will pick up the difference from the 1.6 that the DOT has dedicated, so city ends up paying about 25% of that total project cost.
About 400,000?
I think it's 532,741, which we have budgeted in the transportation fund.
So it's coming from transportation fund. That money can only be used for transportation needs such as road projects.
That's what that money's, budgeted for, correct?
As I know we'll get the emails is, why are you doing it? Well, there's other things we can work on, but we wouldn't have that 1.7 from FDOT, we wouldn't be doing the project.
Yep. Yep.
And we only got the 1.7 because this project was specifically identified
Yeah,
as
the one-
being one that could receive these funds.
Yes, yep. And this has gone through, to qualify, this is what's called a local agency program project, so a LAP project from the DOT. To qualify for that, you submit essentially a grant submittal, and I don't remember exactly when we submitted this one, but those are often done, the ones that you guys just approved, I think we submitted for 2032. So we just approved grant applications like 4 weeks ago for 2032. So this one was probably 5 to 7 years ago. It goes through the TPO approval and ranking process, and if it's prioritized by the TPO, then it becomes eligible to be funded in the DOT 5-year work program, and that's what kind of kicks off us initiating design and moving that forward. So, yeah,
All right, so it's on Birdsong, it was
Yeah.
7
So
years ago.
what's the scope of this project?
so this is the one, and I don't know that we have a map in here,
No,
but we
I
can
didn't
get that
see
for
it.
Monday night. But we talked about it at our last infrastructure update, I believe. So this is the roundabouts that'll go out here.
Oh,
It'll
okay,
add,
okay,
refresh sidewalks,
Mm.
redo the roadway, tighten the roadway down, add a little bit of, change the parking layout a little bit, and then, but really the roundabouts are the big change through there that make it much more pedestrian
The
friendly.
roundabout at Third and ML and Lake Silver Drive, right there where you got the three-way stop?
Nope, so the roundabouts will be, right out here in front of, between City Hall and Florida Citrus Building. We'll make sure to get
Oh,
a site plan
okay,
in the slides for Monday night.
All right, good.
Okay,
Okay. Next item is our Safe Streets for All grant. So total cost for this project is $230,000. And this was applied for, again, a number of years ago through a federal grant. And so the goal of this effort is to look at roads throughout the city, identify areas where there may be safety concerns. So that's maybe using crash data or looking at intersection geometries that can be approved, identifying those problem areas and starting to outline strategies to actually make the improvements. Once we do that, it also puts us into a different pool to be eligible for some outside federal funding that can help to make those improvements and changes. Other just kind of key notes here is that this, when it's done, will complement the DOT's Vision Zero plan. So the DOT, we worked with them on a Vision Zero plan about 2 years ago, and that's focused on the state roads that run through the community. So Highway 17, Cypress Gardens Boulevard, Havendale, 542, 544, and identifying where there are safety improvements that can be made there. So this kind of will dovetail together with that by bringing the local roads onto the map. Must be spent in 5 years. We anticipate that not taking that long. We should have it done in about a year. And once it's done, the report must be publicly available. And there's a 20% local match that's required. But we use a product, whenever we talk about pavement condition index, so we use a software that helps us to track pavement condition index on every road throughout the city. Our expenditure on that software counts as our match against the federal money. So that we don't actually have to come out of pocket on anything. It was just the federal dollars matched against dollars the city already has budgeted for other things. So we're eligible for cost reimbursement up to $184,000 on that. And so this is the agreement to enter into that effort. Questions? Okay. Next up is CEI services for the rail spur construction. So this is the spur we've talked about at length out at the ILP. This is the grant that we submitted in December of 2024. We requested $1.5 million to build that rail spur. And as part of that construction, the city is responsible for construction, including construction engineering inspection. So Through the other agreements with the developers, our maximum contribution to that whole project is $100,000. And so staff engaged Carter K to provide CEI services under our RFQ 2217, which gives us project management support. And so the proposed task order with Carter K Engineering is $243,200. Again, the city's maximum financial contribution to the project is $100,000. TRAT and CFA are providing interim project financing to the city through a city accessible drawdown escrow account for all project costs incurred beyond the city's required contribution. So the grant comes off, CFA and TRAT pick up the rest. But this is just for the construction engineering inspection. Okay, next item on consent is the corrective documents for lands acquired from Astute Financial. So earlier this year, or end of last year, I'm sorry, we closed on the Astute property. So this is the property north on Highway 17. When we were processing that paperwork through the property appraiser's office, there's a small sliver of land on the east side of Highway 17 that was inadvertently included in that had been transferred at an earlier date. So this is essentially just remedying that. The owner of that property is called Fire Rock Properties LLC. So this is correcting that and then also amending our agreement or our conservation easement with Polk County because that was based on the same survey description. So taking that sliver off of the conservation easement as well. And that we anticipate the county presenting that to the VOCC on April 7th of this year.
All right,
All right.
we've got a couple resolutions to take a look at, R2609.
Yes, sir. So this is a FDP grant award for Sapphire Necklace. So in December of 2023, we acquired the Bradco property. In February of 25, we entered into agreement with HDS LLC through a public-private partnership for a variety of services that they would be providing us to begin the foundational work on that project. That company used to be called RES, so you'll see that reference in there. In July of 24, we applied for funding through DEP through the Protecting Florida Together program. And in March of this year, we were notified of a grant award in the amount of $2,458,078 that requires a 50% match. So that grant can cover acquisition, design, and construction, so wetland restoration activities. And it can also be retroactively applied to the agreement with HGS. So we anticipate any money we've spent with HGS can be used as part of our match to meet the requirements of that grant. So that is budgeted for in fiscal year 26 under capital accounts, land, and then project expenses. So that's where all of our matching funds are. And then additional funds are reflected in the 5-year capital improvement program. So mapped for the next couple of years out for the East Winter Haven Aquifer Recharge Project. So this is just accepting that grant with the FDEP.
Okay.
And the next item is our LHAP, so that is our Local Housing Assistance Plan. So this is for the SHIP program, so that is funded through the Sadowski Act from 1993. This designates the Florida Housing Finance Corporation to administer the program. It's funded by dock stamps through the state budget. It's available to all counties with 50,000 or more residents, and to participate, a local government must develop one of these local housing assistance plans. And they cover a 3-year period, and they outline various housing activities and jurisdictions that the jurisdiction will take in that 3-year period. We're expecting this fiscal year to receive $422,449 in revenue. From that, we continue to prioritize rehab and emergency repairs, but we'll also provide down payment assistance with that funding if there's a need for it. As part of the LHAP approval, there will be some edits to the owner-occupied rehab strategy, which is, there are a number of strategies within that LHAP, so this is one that's getting edited this year, and it's really makes it consistent with the county's requirements. So those edits are the owner-occupied rehabilitation assistance to moderate-income households will be limited to 10% of the grant funding. Former clients may reapply and be considered for repeat assistance once all applicants currently on the waiting list have been served and funds are still available. It adds clarifying language regarding home ownership, status of first mortgages and taxes, using SHIP funds to correct code and compliance cases. Applicants may not own more than 25% of another income-producing rental property to qualify for owner-occupied rehabilitation strategy. And then the assessed value of the home cannot exceed $250,000. And applicants must live in the home for 1 year prior to the date of application and have a current homestead exemption. So again, there's no direct financial impact to this. However, if the LHAP isn't transmitted to the state, SHIP funds may be withheld. The AHAC approved the LHAP on March 2nd of this year. Again, Eric, anything we need to add to that?
I think you covered it. This is something we have to do every 3 years in order to continue to get funding for the SHIP program.
All right. Moving on to new business. So this one is, you've seen a number of items related to Four Star. So in April of 2023, Four Star entered into a development agreement with the city. And that covers costs and expenses related to realigning the improvements of Westlake Eloise Drive. I don't know if any of you guys have ridden that, but that road is complete now. Everything's been transferred over. And they've shown us that it is complete and the dollars they have spent on it, which now makes them eligible for impact fee credits equal to 97% of the costs. This agreement really outlines how those impact fees are granted. So they have 7 years from the effective date to utilize them. They can establish, it establishes an impact fee voucher form, provides for transferability and tracking of those impact fees, so if they want to trade them with other developers, and then it holds the city harmless. So the total credit amount is $4,523,799. There's no direct cost to the city from that, but they are credits that we will give to that developer as part of that agreement.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last item is the Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Fee Schedule and Facility Rental Use Policy. So as you guys know, we're nearly ready to open up Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Center to the community. The focus of that is a really heavily programmed space, which I think Julie's going to tell you a little bit about. And so during the times that it is not heavily programmed, there is an opportunity to rent some spaces in there. So this fee structure outlines kind of what that looks like. So I'll let Julie talk you a little bit about where we are with the project and then how the space gets used and what the fees look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Tonight, I just want to do a little fun and take you on a visual tour of the exterior of the facility and just kind of paint some pictures for you about what you can look forward to seeing in our space. As MJ mentioned, we are nearing completion of this project. We have a ribbon cutting on the books. We are winding down everything that occurs in that last 5% of a project, and our construction partners are doing great things to help us reach our goal for opening shortly. So take a look at your screen, if you will. These images were captured at the end of last week, so not even a week old yet. And what you see at the bottom of your screen there is MLK Boulevard. You have a good view of the property, and what we're going to do is just kind of take a spin around the facility from an aerial view. And I just want to call some attention to some really intentional things that we were able to do with this project, which is keeping some of those mature trees within the parking lot and spaces and being able to place those recreational amenities in a cluster so that all of that activity could happen together. We've now shifted eastward on MLK Boulevard, and you can see really some of those colors starting to pop on those amenities. So we have that outdoor court space where there's multiple lines in that space for multiple different types of programming to occur. Just up from there is the playground with the covered playground space. And just there's a knee wall that goes around that playground with its opportunity for families to be and visit and stay together while the young ones play. And then you can see over to the right the roof structure of one of the pavilions, which if you can look above the pavilion that's on the bottom, you'll see the round circular space, that's the splash pad. And above the splash pad is another pavilion. But within those two pavilions, you've got the splash pad and then what is a turfed area, and that's intended to be an outdoor classroom space. So we can have classes out there, we can have touched or tactile opportunities. So we're gonna have a garden out there, we could do yoga on that turf. There's plenty of things that could happen in those spaces. We're gonna take another turn around the building. Now we're looking toward the west there, and you can see the splash pad at the bottom of your screen. Now you really can see the expanse and the symmetry that our architects created with the sidewalk that weaves around and within the amenities. That will be open at all times, so the public can come in, and while they may have children that are playing on the splash pad, they can navigate the spaces through the interconnected sidewalk system that is a part of that. Now you can see the pool as well. And what I want to draw your attention to, you see the lane lines on the right side of the pool. On the left side, you see that flooring that looks like it's a blue stripe. That's our life floor that's zero depth entry. So where the young ones are going to be able to transition from a splash pad where they get used to being in the water into getting used to water play in that zero depth entry. We're going to spin again, and we're now on the back side of the facility, so you can get a different perspective of what that looks like. The back drive there in between the facility and the cemetery is intended for plenty of space for a turnaround, for some parking. The space that's at the bottom of the screen is an overflow parking area that is grass area. And just again, the expanse and the beauty of the space all in of itself. What you cannot see in these photos is at the bottom, underneath the slide title there, will be an open green space, which we are so excited about. That's intended to be for open play, for families to come out, play catch, play ragtag football, whatever it is you want to do. There's plenty of space in that area. And then this is a zoom in on the aquatic facility with that awesome covering there. Of course, this doesn't have any of the pool furniture yet. That'll come kind of closer to the finish of the project. But this is, again, just meant to be an external tour of what will be a well-used space with, if you can just imagine, I'm going to back up here. You can imagine people in the pool, people on the splash pad, people playing pickup basketball or pickleball in that space, kids on the playground, kids playing catch in that green field. I mean, we have the ability to hold a lot of the community in those various spaces, and we haven't even touched the inside yet. So moving forward, again, this is the very back side of the facility from that aerial view. And then to give you kind of a nuts and bolts tour of the layout of the facility. So if we start with A, over on your left-hand side, we're looking bird's eye view now. That is the double gym. And the spaces off to the left are the storage and the restrooms for that facility. To the right of the gym, where you see the arrow pointing up, that's the entrance, the main entrance. So imagine walking into the space, which is B in the lobby. The circular area above B is our desk, which you can stand at that desk and see into the weight room, which is C, into the gym, which is A, of course the front door, also into D, which is the library, and down the hall. So ability to be able to see all of the space within the facility from that perch at the front desk. So again, we're walking into B. I can turn to my left and go into the gym, which is A. Of course, envision all of the youth in there playing drop-in basketball, drop-in volleyball, whatever it may be happening and occurring. You look to your right and letter D, and that's the library space. If you continue forward, you would walk into the weight room space, which is C. And then you curve to the right to go down the hallway of the facility. And again, on your right would be D. On your left are the restroom corridor with some lockers. And then you continue down into the space, and space E is what we call our learning and technology studio. That space is going to be one for the public to come in and have public use of computers. That's also going to be a heavily programmed space with not only the recreation team, but the library team as well. And again, moving on down the hall, we have two of our most highly programmed spaces are going to be letter H, which is our youth programming space. That space, wait till you see it, is really, really cool. We've got a lot of brightly colored tile in there, really attractive space, and just meant for kids and play to occur there. Across the hall from that is letter G, and that's the community room or activity room. And that room is a really multi-purpose space that can be used for meetings, can be used for small low-impact exercise classes, and a multitude of other uses. If you continue on to the right, out through that hallway, you hit the breezeway, and then J is the entry into the aquatics area and the pool space. So just imagine, let's go back to H for a second. That's our youth activity space or youth programming room. We're gonna have our after-school kids in there every day, up to 60 kids that are gonna be enrolled in that program. And moving about the space between that space and the gymnasium, we're gonna have art classes. We're gonna have, in the morning when the kids aren't at the facility, senior programming and activities occurring in that space. We have a homeschool group that comes during the middle of the day to be able to utilize the space. And just part of the intentional design of this facility, and you all recall this in our time together as we've gone through the development of this project, is the intentionality of intergenerational activity. And so while we have something occurring for younger children in some of the spaces, we'll collaboratively have activities for their parents or their guardians to come in and be able to do things and program with them as well. So what I'd like to also draw your attention to on this diagram is space A and space G. Those are the two rentable spaces that are available within our facility. Those have been called out specifically within the policy that is before you this evening, and that is what we have available for the community events. Larger scale, of course, would go into a portion of the gym or the entire gym, and then smaller events that can occur will occur in room G. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
So I think I might have asked this question before. If you've got a gym membership at the field house, does that work at this facility too?
So our structure that we have currently, the membership is only needed at the field house currently. When we've designed this fee schedule without even operating 1 minute within this facility. And so our promise has always been to keep this facility as low cost, no cost as possible. So the current fee structure includes a drop-in to the gym, either to play basketball or to lift weights, free of charge. We will reassess as we go through operationally to identify according to whatever comes down the pipe with us with operations, but cost of operating, et cetera. But at this point, without again operating 1 minute in the facility yet, that will be free. There will be some classes that will be a paid structure depending on the nature of the programs and classes that are offered. And currently, we have a multitude of classes that are free of charge, but we also have some that require either a monthly fee, whether it be a karate class or something of that nature to pay the instructor, or something a little bit more low cost for a daily use class. A lot of our classes in programming are offered, again, at no charge, but depending on what type of niche program we might be able to attract and get it within the facility, there would be an instructor payment to pay.
So if a community group wanted to come in and use the community room, that would potentially be no cost?
That
For
would
now.
be a rental, and that would be, now, there are going to be opportunities where we invite community groups in to be able to provide a service, say for connecting for wraparound services or some type of service for seniors or a certain population. But if they're using that for a meeting or something of that nature, that would be included in the fee structure provided.
So the swimming pool will not be used in any type of rental format?
There will be availability for rentals. This pool is not lighted, it's not lit. And so there will be availability of rentals during the summer season, either in the morning on Saturdays and Sundays or after or operating hours. But that will be evaluated. How we do that, which is how we do that currently with Rowdy Gaines, is we go through the special events review process, and to keep that review similar. And so available seasonally.
But not like a Rowdy, the membership fee that he was talking about, the additional fee for the pool, if that was included, there were two different prices, is that correct?
You mean to drop in and just go swimming? Is that what you're asking?
Correct.
That will be free currently.
Currently,
Yes, sir.
but not that field house is still a cost?
Field house is still a charge. Yes, sir.
Okay. you foresee in the future that this may change, or?
I think that's something that we just have to take into consideration depending on what occurs in the future with legislative changes, et cetera, coming towards us. And then just taking a look at our operational costs for the facility. It is our intention to continue being free of charge for those drop-in visits as long as we can.
On the, renting the gym space, will y'all have, tables and chairs if you want to have a banquet, that sort of thing?
Yes, we will have tables and chairs up to, I think it's 250 people we can seat. And then if there is a desire for, say you have the entire 2-court gymnasium rented for your event and you need more than that, we would be happy to connect you with a local company to be able to get the access.
Okay, the only other thing, I don't see you've got time frames for everything, but you don't have, when you say a 12-hour daily for the gym space, that's from what to what?
So that would be considering if you wanted, that's for an event, and we are flexible for events, but we ask for everything to be out by 11. So
okay,
a
that's
12-hour
what I
rental,
was-
if you want to go till the very end of it, which would be 11 PM, it would start at 11 AM.
Okay, all right.
So for the staff at $35 an hour, is that in addition to the rental fee?
Yes,
So you had, so that per hour?
yes, per
How many staff?
person, per hour,
How many staff persons are required to be there?
depending on the amount of people. So one dedicated for sure, always,
Right.
and then based on the amount of people and the elements of the event. So if there were to be an event, let's just say with alcohol, we know that's gonna generate more trash, more people. We would add, depending on, again, the number of people expected in attendance, would determine how many staff people we need. And also, let's go ahead with that example. If there's going to be alcohol at an event, that would also trigger our partners in PD to be present and hired as well.
Flooring in there, is it, would require covering of
It
any
does
sort?
not. That's one of the beautiful things of the flooring of this facility is we chose that based on not having to cover it like we do at the field house. And so it's a multi-purpose type flooring that is suitable and approved for athletic activity and also multi-purpose activity as well.
How much parking is there actually?
Number of spaces?
Yeah, because you're talking about, this is a pretty large facility, so you say 250, that's foreseeably, I don't know what event you could have. I know we were talking about the Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the consideration of whether or not that would be an indoor thing or take it indoors as a
Yes.
possibility.
Yes.
You still looking at that
Yes,
in this facility?
yes.
Okay, so then that
So
would
the conversations that we've had thus far, Commissioner, is to work with the Jewett School to be able to utilize for us, our city-sponsored special event, such as Juneteenth,
Right.
to be able to utilize that grass parking in between 8th and Brown to supplement what we currently have. For events, what we'll have in our event package is basically what you have available at the facility so that people understand what our limitations are for parking when there is a large-scale special event suited for the gymnasium.
The Jewett space, is it being developed or is, because it's very soft, is that going to?
So we're in discussions now with our contractor to be able to see what we could do within the project to be able to support potentially improving that space, or at least allocating and marking out spaces that would not cause issue with parking.
The back portion of it, would that be for parking as well?
Yes, so in this photo that you see here, on the left-hand, I'm sorry, I don't have a pointer, but on the left-hand side of your
Right,
screen in
right.
between that loop, that is an additional parking area as well. And what we would do for events that require parking is we would chalk that or line that out so that we could be as efficient as possible in holding the overflow.
So, but not the area that would be due north of the building? Of
Correct.
the gym? Is that the space you're talking about?
No, sir, just in that loop on the left-hand
Yeah,
side.
that's what I thought.
Thank you.
Because the rest of this is fenced.
Yeah, that's cemetery.
Oh, this is the cemetery.
Yes, sir.
That looks like a cemetery to me.
Oh, that's why it looks
It's all
like
flat,
that.
man, all flat.
So, because when I rode back there, so the space that I was looking at is this little circle of space.
You're right.
Up to the top.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
It's bigger than what it looks like on this.
It is. You're right. I'm trying to think of, that's a dumpster that's just south of that in this photo, just south of that little circular space. So if you can imagine, that's a, I don't know, MJ, help me out.
30 yard,
That's a 30-yard dumpster right there. And so if you can imagine, I apologize. You can imagine, if you can think of that to scale, there's, and I will get you the number of parking spaces, and I will get you what we can accommodate in that overflow area.
So how many parking spaces up front? Do you know?
Up front, you mean face,
Yeah, the
like in that
regular
paved
parking
area
lot.
total? Mm-hmm. We're gonna look at Andy. Does Andy have that? He's looking for it, I can tell by his face. We're gonna get you that number. I don't know that off the top of my head, I apologize.
None of the playground area will be lit at night?
There's safety lighting in the area, but not for programming and activity, correct?
Is it fenced though?
It is not fenced.
So you could access it, but technically it will close at dusk or night?
Yes, dusk.
So you're not anticipating people to be out there?
And what we'll do is I imagine that with the newness of this and it being a new amenity, and once we open and it draws even more attention to that playground, that's the same with all of our playgrounds in our city, is that we don't lock them down at night, but we'll work closely with our PD partners to ensure that there's fluid movement on behalf of their team to ensure that everybody understands what the expectations are.
Looks like about 90 or 100 spaces or so out there. That's my count.
Counted
That was my quick count.
Nice
That's my
job.
Rain Man count.
I'll confirm. I'll get that exact number for you.
The concession area in there, or the, what would you call it, that, I guess, is it considered concession or?
It's a concession and
So there's
a prep kitchen.
Yeah, so there's no, you say prep, is there any ability, there's no cooking in there at all?
Correct. No cooking, just
So-
warming.
So pretty much if it's a catered event, they just stage from that area,
That's right.
warming,
Yes.
have warming ability.
Warming ability is present. There's prep tables, there's warmers, there's reach-in coolers. All of that is available to be able to cater either up the hallway to the gymnasium. There's also a connection into the activity room if there's a smaller event that's catered in there.
Are there bleachers in the gymnasium?
Yes,
Are they portable? or-
they are.
Okay. Seating approximately, what?
I'm gonna have to defer to Andy. He's looking at that. Well, do we know?
It's county
Three
parking.
high, 5 high? They're 5 high. We have 4 levels. So they're 5 levels high, and there's 4 of those, 2 on either of the exterior walls. And what we would do is the same thing. We have the same structures at the field house on the
Right.
mezzanine.
Right.
And so anytime, and what we're gonna do, again, we're gonna see how it works. This is our it sounds really menial, but a starter kit, if you will. And then we're gonna go through operations and see where we are, see what we need. Our limiter is gonna be storage, but we also thought ahead on that as well and are, just working through what that looks like. Should we have any type of rental that is a spectator type, we would encourage any of the fans or attendees to bring their bag chairs, and we have the flooring that can support that, similar to what occurs at the field house when we have the larger regional, national events, but that's how we're gonna work that.
And there is a dividing, curtain
Curtain,
there?
yes.
Okay, and is that see-through or,
No, it's opaque.
okay,
And that's intended, again, to be able to program both sides
Right.
simultaneously. And as we continue to go through, seeing what that looks like with what we can accommodate on each side. The goal of this facility is to be able to be open and drop-in style for as much of our operating hours as possible so that we can accommodate the youth in the area that want to have a place to retreat to and belong and be. And so our intent, as much as we can, is to have open drop-in play occurring on at least one court of 2. And so what the desires of the community will be as we continue to go through operations will drive what the other half of that gym looks like, whether it's a half-court activity, make it, take it, or if it's just pure drop-in. We're going to see how that looks.
And what's the staffing will be for the building now?
How, are you asking how many positions we have?
How many?
14 total.
So to make, for rentals, who calls? Who do you call?
I apologize, can you repeat that?
For rentals,
Yes,
if
sir.
you wanna rent the space, what's the contact number?
So we're going to be open our books on April, after we open, and that will be the facility. And so.
It'll be at the facility.
Yes, sir. And so once the facility opens and we get through our first week of operations, we're going to open our books and we'll have that advertised because I know that the community is so excited to get in and get their date secured. And our team at the facility will be taking care of getting those rentals and get everything needed for those squared away.
Okay. So are we planning I assume a dedication?
Yes, ribbon cutting. Yes, we're working through final details now to ensure that the date that we have held is going to be sufficient, which we believe it will be, which is April 28th. And we're confirming all of the, 30th. Thank you.
April 28th.
She's on my shoulder.
30.
April 30th.
My apologies. My apologies. I just gave AJ a heart attack. I apologize. And anybody else that may have been listening that's not here tonight, I apologize. But that is held on your calendars. As we continue to flesh out the program and the details, we will be updating you with that. And just a little bit about what that's going to look like is we'll have the ribbon cutting, and we're planning an open house style event that evening so that we can not only have our formal program, but also open the doors of the facility to the community and allow everybody to come in and welcome home.
Commissioner Davis has a couple
Yes,
questions.
thank you. Getting back to the fee schedule and rental policy. Could you please explain to me again, so Advent Fieldhouse, we do charge to use some of those amenities, like the workout room, fitness room,
That's correct.
but we're not gonna charge for this one.
That's correct.
Why are we not charging?
That has been the commitment since the beginning of this project. The previous facility, and when it was in existence before it was raised to rebuild, was a free of charge facility. It had become a jewel of the community, and we wanted to continue to be able to offer that in its inception, and then evaluate what that looks like as we go, but be able to offer it free as long as we can.
Was there any consideration to offer the Advent Fieldhouses free?
I can't speak to that. I wasn't here whenever I joined the team in 2021, and that fee schedule was developed prior to me being here, but I can find out what that looked like and report back.
Okay. So the free fitness center, will there be any kind of a registration process?
Yes.
Okay, so we will be covering our liability at least?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll speak to that if I can.
yes.
So currently, we have a management system, a facility management system that houses all of our registrations for any of our programs that we do on the recreation side of business. That system will still be utilized, and what we're going to do is we're going to call it a rec pass. And all it is a registration within the system so that we have each person that is utilizing the facility, whether it be for drop-in, whether it be for swimming, whether it be, you name it. They're going to be registered within our system and get a scan card so that we can track who's using the facility, so that we have metrics and data to show the utilization of the facility and the programs within it, but there will be no fee attached to it. So same system, just no fee for those drop-in uses.
Okay, thank you. And you touched on, I think my biggest concern was, you have something that's free, you don't pay for it. We know how people tend to treat things that they don't pay
Understood.
for.
Yes.
But if there's some form of a registration, some form of tracking, there's still a little bit of a threshold you have to cross in order to be able to use it, similar to a library.
Yes.
So that allays a lot of my concerns.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And you said April 30th?
Yes.
It's on the calendar,
On the forums.
on the city calendar. It's 5 o'clock.
Also, there are 87 parking spaces in the front parking lot.
Yeah, one of the things, I've ran facilities like this years ago. One of the things that, the challenge I had as a director of a center doing this kind of work, it was dealing, the same kind of concept too. The African-American community actually had a facility built, a very large facility. One of the things that, and I actually instituted a membership, very nominal. And, we didn't have the tracking methods and all the stuff you have today. But in those days, and the reason for it was that membership piece, one, it created a card, so again, we knew who was in the building. And, because when you have that many, you have a lot of people flowing in from a lot of different places, and, security and other, concerns that you would have to, think about. But it was helpful just, I think for a lot of the children too, to know something like that, they had a card to come in. And if they're gonna use the library or wherever they're gonna be in the building. So that may be something you may want to consider. And like I said, I know right now it's just gonna be piloted and kind of see how it works. And hopefully things will move along well, but I think that there may be some accountability with regards to that. It's wonderful to be free. And I'm not saying that we should, and if there is a cost, it would be, very, minimal. In fact, the field house, I think is what was it, the last one I had was $80, I think it was.
Right, it's
the year?
very inexpensive for
Yeah,
the use
for
that's,
the year,
it's
and which I
afforded.
thought was, I think it was a little additional for the swimming pool. Was it?
Right. Yeah, we definitely want to have that tracking capability so that, again, we can, in case something happens to someone, whether at the facility, we have an emergency contact at the very least. And then
Right.
we can also use that data to be able to drive additional programming and understand use and just use so much and be able to tell the story about who's actually enjoying the facility. So that is the plan.
I want to commend you, it's a beautiful facility. I mean, very impressive, and I think it's a great asset to the community and to the city as a whole, but I'm just grateful to see it, and look forward to people utilizing it and having a great time in it. So, great job. Hats off to the staff and all those who've done great planning for this. It's one of the bright spots in our community now that I think that a lot of people will be talking about for a long time. I've been talking about it, so, a lot
Understood.
of people are excited about it.
Yes, us too. And definitely appreciate those kind words. And just want to continue to say that this is a representation of a multitude of efforts from the team all the way around. And so this is going to be a shining star for sure for many years to come.
One more question. Is there, so it's gonna be free, is there any restriction on where you need to be a resident in order to use the space for free?
Not at this
So
time.
I do have a concern that with it being so new and so attractive, I want to make sure that those who actually live within the city, that are paying taxes, that are helping fund this facility, will have the ability to use it. And I don't know if it'll possibly be so busy that it would be difficult to get in, but I would be frustrated if I lived in the city and I was trying to go use my fitness facility and it was packed full of people, only to find out some were not within the city. They were just taking advantage of the free facility, so, but we can always revisit that if it becomes a problem.
Yes, sir.
Your summer programming, because I know that, because you were utilizing this facility with your summer
That's
program.
correct.
Because it was in the past. And so staffing and that whole thing, so that would be, the program will operate out of that facility?
Yes, let me talk a little bit about that and help paint that picture. So we will open and cut that ribbon on April 30th, and then we will have about a month to 5 weeks where we are open, which is what we're going to call as usual. And then the facility, during the day when we will have our summer camp program, we will close down all of the recreation portions of that. Library will remain open and operational, outside will be unaffected. But for the safety and the safe operation of our summer camp program, the gym will shut down for drop-in use, and the gymnasium will shut down for drop-in use throughout the duration of summer camp. Now, if summer camp, get it a little bit into the weeds, but if the summer camp group is traveling and not at the facility, and we happen to get someone to come in and use the fitness center, we can make that happen because there are no children in the building that we're programming. And then again, once the summer program comes to a close, we will open back up as usual. And so we are looking forward to, and in that program, we've talked about staffing. For our summer camp, we have additional seasonal staff that we add to that total of 14 to be able to house the children within the summer camp program.
Okay, so are we good on the building? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna pivot. You're not ready for this, and I apologize, and we can circle back to it if we need to.
Okay?
But it's relevant to this building, the field house, and then the other structures that we're building around town.
Okay?
We have Winter Haven football, we have Winter Haven baseball, we have Winter Haven kicks, we have, what's the basketball?
We have Hoops Haven.
Hoops Haven.
We have Warrior Volleyball. We have Blue Marlin Swimming.
We got a lot of different entities running these groups.
Correct.
So, going back, I'm getting older, but when I grew up, we had City League basketball, okay? And in that City League, and I remember Ted Brown was involved, and I'm trying to remember, and Scott was here when all that was going on. So I can't remember the individuals who, you know, you weren't born yet. That's all right.
Thank you.
So my concern is that we've got all these different entities. Is it time that the city starts looking at some sort of management, or I don't want to use the word czar, but youth sports czar, if you will, of youth sports? Because my concern is, like, if you want to play soccer, it's $800 or $1,500. I heard from one league today. That's not too far away from here. If you want to, you know, and I don't know what all the different fees are, but I'm worried about there's kids out there who don't get to enjoy youth sports because it's all privately run. And is there a time, or is there a place that the city needs to start evaluating the management of youth sports, having one entity, or maybe the city brings it under its umbrella, to ensure all youth within Winter Haven and the boundaries of Winter Haven have the opportunity to participate in facilities like this?
Right.
And the field house? I mean, those kids don't have the chance to go play a game unless they're in a particular league. So I guess what I'm trying to advocate for, and or at least some direction on, is this the right thing to do, is have a youth city league of sports.
So if I could, just a minute, to kind of scope back a little bit and talk about those partners that you identified at the beginning of that question. And with each of them, we have a use agreement. And within that use agreement, we talk about how no child can be turned away for any reason. And there's also an expectation that a recreational league is offered. So we do realize that some of these leagues some of these partners that we have a travel component that doesn't occur within our spaces, but could potentially have a travel component. But the understanding is that our spaces, our places, our fields, our facilities are all being utilized for leagues that are affordable for City of Winter Haven residents. And so that has been expressly stated within those use agreements. I don't know if you saw my face, but when you said 1,500, I was taken aback, because the expectation is that it's an affordable rate that is of a recreational level for programming, and so without the travel component, because we do realize that not everyone can logistically handle travel or afford it, and we want to make our spaces, as the municipal spaces, affordable for any child that wants to participate. Of course, I think that the bottom of our age group, I think, is no child younger than 4 can be a participant in our leagues, but there is some express statements in there regarding that. What I would like to do is go back to all of our service delivery partners. We do financial updates with each of them annually, but with that information, I want to make sure that we have an understanding of A, what those charges are, and B, how they're being applied. But also, there are, and we can definitely look into what that would take, because for us to manage leagues ourselves, that would be an additional level of staffing that would come along with that. And typically, we would, for provision of leagues in our spaces, that would, again, remove the need to have our service delivery partners, so those leagues would be displaced. So from first brush, just kind of taking a look at that, there are cities that do that. I know in speaking with my colleagues across the state that typically most of them utilize, they may do one sport in-house, and typically that's basketball because that's not weather related, or weather affected, if you will. But most of them outsource the service delivery of those programs and leagues to partners within the community for a simple fact of being able to offer more with less. But we can definitely look into that and get back to you.
I'd love to see a city league, Winter Haven, get fired back up again for youth sports for basketball. I mean, that defined my childhood for sure, so.
And both of my sons too. I agree with you that it was, you know, they were city leaguers as well. And I think it gave every child an opportunity. I agree 100%. I feel sometimes that in those other situations, they become monopolized by other groups and nobody can actually have access into them. They're kind of locked in and you can't create or, you know, new situations can't be even developed because now that space and everything is all, you know, basically spoken for. And so you don't have the same thing all the time. So there's really no new things that can be, you know, formed or established.
And I think in that situation that there would be an opportunity for discussion if we're always going to have, if we're blessed and lucky and fortunate, and to track kind of my experience in Parks and Recreation, you're always going to have more need than what you have available to offer. But if there are additional groups out there that are interested in programming and using space, that's something that, and we hold our service delivery partners to a high standard to ensure that they're using the space responsibly, that they're opening the doors to every child that wants to play, so that we have a quality partner in play. But we're always looking to help as many people as we can. And so
Right.
our phones ring all the time with groups that either want to have space but can't accommodate the level of accountability that we require, and they end up, or they're private and they're in it to make money, which is not the reason why we're here.
I'll have to say this because he calls me all the time, and you know my dear friend and brother, Earl Williams. The Marching Wolverines, you know, it's an institution in itself. Earl, bless his heart, he has been, you know, the leader of that forever, and it's, I think he wakes up and goes to bed thinking about that. And I know we did provide a space in there for equipment, and so that it can be housed in this facility. And I think also in the facility, or the space that you said is more of that flex space, that, because he teaches music. Now, whether or not it will be him or someone like him, but I think that the goal is to keep that, you know, that's been a legacy piece, and to keep that in some semblance or some manner. A derivative of that is Laurentis, who is actually working with Dan.
Dan, yes.
And the hope is that to kind of, you know, bring that together, or in some manner, we're working on it. And, but I think, you know, and like I said, he's been quite concerned about that, and I know you've been working with that. And I guess how we can basically keep that, you know, that piece in place in some manner, you know.
Absolutely.
I just don't want it to be overlooked or not considered, because like I said, it really had been a mainstay in the community that really helped. My son went through that, for example. My daughter went through that. So, you know, it was really a chance for a lot of kids to, one, learn music, two, stay out of trouble.
Right.
So anything that we can do to enhance something like that, I think is really helpful. And it keeps alive also a tradition of the Wolverines, which is the Marching Wolverines of Jewett High School, and which our mayor attended. So,
We stand ready to be able to
Former
support
mayor.
that effort, and we share the desire to continue that legacy. As you stated, we have a dedicated space in that facility for storage and whether that be uniforms or instruments or, you know, and that's all air-controlled or controlled space. So it's not out in the elements, it's not, we're prepared for that, and we want to be able to continue that.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at hoping staffing will, you know, look at that and how, and I think also there's another component that there's also now with dancers or steppers, which is it? I think it's
I believe it's dance.
dance, and I think there's a connection between the two, because I think one is, I think it's his daughter that actually is doing that. And so, and that's growing, I gather. And I think there's another one at theater, is there, for that Dan has also?
Yes, there's a group that's affiliated with the Bishop Brothers,
Right.
and that is the auxiliary component that Dan has as well.
Okay.
So currently, we house the E&D dance team at Rotary Park, and we have continued to support them in that space. So that will continue to be, Rotary Park will continue to be their home for their dance classes 2 nights a week,
Oh.
on and throughout the opening of the Winter Haven Recreation and Cultural Center.
Okay.
So I'll leave you with BBCL. Bring back City League. Thank you,
We
Julie.
love an acronym,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you all.
Anything else?
That's it. I have one other update under my
Oh, yeah,
section.
there's one more. Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted to give a quick update on our discussion from last meeting regarding the grant and aid program. So we received a total of 57 applications. 6 of those are legacy applications, 30 are returning applicants, and 21 are new. Their total requests were about $601,833. So that's actually about $50,000 less than we started with last year. Before the committee reviewed it and made decisions on how to allocate the funding that was budgeted. So applications will go through a preliminary review process. If you recall, we implemented that last year. So they get a window after they submit it where staff will go through it and kind of make sure everything is there and checks out. And if there's any errors, they can go back and try to, fix some of those things before those applications become final. Once we have that wrapped up, the end of probably next week, we'll be able to come back to you guys with a little more clarity on exactly how many applicants are final, exactly what the request is, and then we'll probably seek some direction on how to give guidance to the committee. So
But applications are closed.
applications are closed, but we're still going through to just check
So-
stuff right now.
and
So we'll look
prelim-
at some
and-
bids and kind of all
And the
that.
preliminary tally is we're 50,000 under what was requested last year.
What we started with last year. So we
we
started with 601,000 last year, and the committee then brought that down to what the final recommendation for award was
Okay,
347,000.
so we're at 550 now,
We are at
is being requested.
601 now, I'm sorry, we were at 650 last year.
Okay,
We're at
gotcha.
601 now.
So how many this year is opposed to last year?
I don't have last year's number in front of me, but I think we actually had a few less than last year. But I will double check that and I can provide you that Monday night.
Yeah, I thought the number increased, but you're saying it actually decreased?
No, there was about 70 some last year.
Yeah,
But
I
the
remember
dollar
right.
So did it decrease? How many do you say?
57
Decreased, but the amount of
applicants.
money is still up there.
Yeah.
But it decreased from what was
Yeah.
requested.
Yeah.
Y'all are looking for my
How many
magic
new
wand
ones?
still?
21 new,
Oh, 21.
30 returning.
You're looking for my magic wand still?
We're still looking for the
All
match.
right, just
Yeah,
check.
But I think that's a good
Still
place to
waving
start.
that thing.
though.
It's in there it's in there somewhere. I know they can find it.
We're starting from a good place, and you guys have a strong committee that evaluates those things. So. And then I'll provide an update to you guys on quiet zone efforts on Monday night.
Thank you. All right,
All right.
anything else for the agenda? Well, we'll see you Monday, meeting adjourned.